I'm going to describe to you in this video something that a lot of people are talking about, and some people have had vague dreams, visions about. But what I observed, and I'll try to describe it in 10 minutes or less. I describe it in writing at my website and in my book, finalbookofdaniel.com. If you want to read it, go there. It's free. Now, you're listening to someone who's actually witnessed this event, the last 5 to 10 minutes of it, physically there in the future. This was not a dream. This was not an out-of-body experience, and this was not a near-death experience. On this spiritual journey that I went on in 1999 and beyond, on August 3rd, the year 2000, very, very memorable, even though it's more than a decade later, for 2 days straight, there was massive, massive thunderstorms, rain, lightning, and thunder brought upon my city. Now, I knew something was up, divinely speaking. I was sitting meditating for these 2 days, and I could feel divine energies as though something weird, strange, odd was happening to my physical body. And around me, my entire city was, the weather was altering. Something was happening. Now, I knew my physical body seemed to be multidimensionally wanting to be transported somewhere. I couldn't take this pressure, this divine pressure in my body anymore. So I laid down. As soon as I laid down, I was physically duplicated. In other words, bilocated. Hard to believe, but it's true. Again, this is not an out-of-body experience. I had 2 physical bodies. Now, a massive angel, about 8 feet tall, made of blue light, with massive wings that extended beyond the room, was present a few feet from the foot of my bed, and it was the one who gave me this vision for the next 5 to 10 minutes. My physical body, one of them, one laying there and one physically transported through a very painful wormhole into the distant future, and no one knows when this occurs. It could be 2012, but I don't know. I got to witness what the Bible describes as the day of the Lord, or the coming of the Son of Man. Also what the New Testament describes as the end of the world, which is not really the end of the world. It's a dimensional ascension from the 3rd dimension to the 5th dimension, also known as the merger of heaven and earth. I guess some of the prophets may have seen this exact same vision, but they didn't know how to describe it. Now, I witnessed it in detail, physically there. I'll describe to you briefly what I saw in the next 7 minutes. I was standing. I was the future version of myself. It was daylight. Sun was shining. The last 5-10 minutes. Now, I observed that for the 3 to 7 days previous to this being physically transported there in the future, everyone gave up their jobs. No one was attending to regular daily duties, family, jobs, anything like that. Everyone knew somehow, there was definite warning that this was, quote unquote, it. This was the collapse of the dimension, the physical dimension of Earth, and life as we know it. Everything was ascending. The way we knew this was there was an exponential increase in divine consciousness and energy, which we could perceive with our visual eyes and our physical bodies and souls. This is very, very difficult for me to describe, but it was as though there was an ever-increasing alteration of physics, the very nature of matter as we know it. The atoms in our bodies, the cells, they were changing form. This was the merger of soul or spirit and physical body. The merger of physical and spirit, not just our bodies but everything, the sky, the ground. Now there was a man, the reason why I call this the Day of the Lord vision is because there was a man running in front of me, very, very memorable. I still remember this very clearly. He was pointing to the northern sky, yelling, "Everyone pray! It's the day of the Lord!" Now, what I observed, I looked at the northern sky, and this is what Jesus was describing briefly in the New Testament when he says the coming of the Son of Man in the eastern sky, and everyone would see him. This was not a physical Jesus, and it was not the eastern sky as the Bible describes. This was God, which was not physical, but beyond description. It was, we just knew it was God. There's no mistaking it. But without physical form. Now, this God, quote unquote, was appearing aligned to the north and south poles of the planet, taking up 1/4 of the sky, aligned to the North Pole, where I observed, but it seemingly was happening on the South Pole as well. Everyone on the planet saw this. This was occurring everywhere, all at the same time. The entire planet was ascending. Now the air, the very nature of the atmosphere was changing form. It seemed the sun was changing its color. The atmosphere, the ground, I observed as leaves lost their stems, and the leaves became neon or translucent, fluorescent color, an exotically beautiful, heavenly color, glowing, hovering there above the ground without a stem. Same thing with the flowers, same thing with the grass. Simultaneously, I observed man-made buildings off in the distance begin crumbling into dust, piles of dust, while all the natural beauty of life on earth changing form, becoming colorful. This was the merging of heaven and earth, which I cannot really describe in words. You just have to try to picture it as my voice comes across. The alteration of quantum physics itself, the nature of gravity, the nature of light, the nature of the atoms in our bodies, the nature of our souls. I only have 3 minutes left. I'm going to try to describe what I saw in this exponential increase in the last few minutes and seconds. Now, again, everyone was in the streets in big circles, prayer circles, with sweat pouring down their faces. Regardless of what they believed previously, everyone knew this was the day of the Lord. There was no mistaking it. Now everyone started to collapse, as though physically dead, unconscious. I watched them drop like flies as this orderly exponential increase in divine energy occurred. Now, I was the only one standing in that last few seconds until I too could no longer take it, this pressure. I fell to my knees, then to my hands and knees. I could not lift up my head. I knew we were reaching 0 point. There was what is called a 0 point. I was not able to make it beyond 0 point, because if I did, I would not be here talking about it. I would not have come back to the past to talk about it. In that last few seconds, I said, God, please stop. I cannot take this. Stop this now. At that point, God listened. I was physically transported from that point back into the past, August 3rd, 2000, where my two physical bodies merged together, and the angel that was appearing at the foot of my bed suddenly passed through me. Very difficult to describe, but he was made of light, not physical. He passed right through my body, sending chills down my spine, and then disappeared. At that point, all the wind, the violent thunderstorms, lightning, thunder, wind, came to a dead calm. And I laid there, wide-eyed, unable to move for the next 10, 20, 30 minutes. I knew that I just witnessed something that very, very few people in history ever have. The end of the world as we know it. The dimensional ascension of the earth, also known as the day of the Lord or the second coming. The most powerful vision anyone could ever have, physically, in person. I write about it more at my website if you want to read it in detail, finalbookofdaniel.com.